Hey, Wealth Warriors! Are you ready to redefine wealth and master your money mindset? Welcome to Women of Wealth. I'm your Gen X host, Hollywoods Gray.
And I'm your millennial host, Allie Ramo.
Today, we'll be talking to Izzy Cheptea about Relief Strategies, a debt solution company.
So, to start us off, Izzy, can you introduce yourself and share some insights on your journey in providing debt relief solutions to people?
Yes. So I'm Izzy. I am the director of sales for Relief Strategies. I've been working in financial services for over 10 years and in that space for about 4 years. And I love helping people get out of debt every day.
Awesome. So, I know there's a lot of different misconceptions about debt settlement. Can you talk about some of those and how Relief Strategies is different?
Absolutely. I would say one of the biggest ones is, everybody thinks it's a scam. Everybody, there's a lot of bad apples out there. A lot of people tell you they're going to help you get out of debt, and then they don't actually do it. We are different in a lot of different ways because we actually sit down with our clients. We do a whole consultation. They get a proposal. Everything is in writing, and all of their funds are allocated in a secured account that's only in their name only. So another one is everybody thinks it's debt consolidation, which there's a difference between the two.
Can you explain to us more what the difference between debt? Sorry, I just muted it. I will
Go
back.
get
Can you describe the difference between debt consolidation and debt settlement?
Yeah, so debt consolidation is basically when you get a loan for the whole amount of your debt, and you take that loan to try to consolidate all of that debt. That loan usually still has interest, and you still have to apply for it, which is mostly credit based. So you still need your credit to get this loan. I mean, I talk to a lot of people who get a debt consolidation loan to pay off their debt, but then they just put themselves back into the same debt. With debt settlement, we actually negotiate your debt. Our team of attorneys and negotiators negotiate the debt for a lower balance and for no more interest.
Yeah. So, for example, like say somebody had $30,000 worth of credit card debt and they're paying 29.9% in interest. What do you see? What are you seeing out there for people like in that example? What would be the strategy for that one?
Yeah, so any amount of debt that they would have, we are basically able to cut that in half, stop that interest, put them on an affordable monthly plan, and give them, a time frame. For example, depending on how much debt they have, they could be in the program for anywhere around 24 months to 60 months. But the goal is to have a finish line and to cut out all of that interest. People find themselves paying interest and interest and interest for years and still not getting anywhere. They still owe the same balance.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that, all those calculators that are on, like when I go to pay my mortgage or whatever, it's like if you pay, $300 extra a month, this will reduce your payment by so many years or whatever. So I do think that people get on there and they have this idea like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then they really don't. So, like you said, between 24 and 60 months. Now, with either debt consolidation or debt settlement, what does a person's credit, what would it look like for a person's credit to go through the program? I know that it's an initial hit, but then eventually it starts improving. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so it's an initial hit because you're not paying your creditors directly anymore. And you're allowing us, the attorneys, the negotiators, to negotiate on your behalf, and start paying on those debts. It's an agreed amount, by the attorneys and the client. As you start paying off those debts, you don't have 30, 40, $50,000 sitting on your credit anymore. So your credit does begin to recover. And you're not going in circles. I just had a client yesterday who said, I was paying on this for 2, 3 years and I still owe the same thing. It's not going anywhere. I feel like I'm not getting anywhere with it.
Yeah, yeah, and especially when they're only paying the minimum, that credit's literally not going to go anywhere. And they didn't realize that I had a specific client as well, didn't realize the interest had changed on her account. So where she was making payments to it and then the interest suddenly changed and then it got out of hand. Um and so this can really help change someone's trajectory of their credit. Um what all goes into debt settlement? So you've talked about like the attorneys and um negotiating their debt. But can you talk more about like who else is involved on the team?
Yeah, so it is an attorney-backed program, like I said. Basically, it's a very simple process. We do the debt consultation, we pull their credit, we see exactly what type of debt they have on there. We make sure everything's correct. We make sure we're not missing anything. Especially because people have medical bills, and medical bills don't report on credit anymore usually. So if they do have medical bills, we could always add those in as well. But it's basically just a matter of having a consultation, creating a proposal for them, accounting for all of the debt that they have, what they want to enroll into the program. And then you basically start making payments on a monthly basis into a dedicated account. It's going to take a while for funds to accumulate in there, but that gives the attorneys time to basically negotiate with the creditors. As they negotiate with the creditors, uh, and reach an agreement, the client will have to agree to that agreement, to that settlement, and then that will get taken care of.
So then based on because when you have that consultation and you give the amount, you're giving them the timeline, the end goal. So no matter how the negotiation goes, the payments aren't going to change for the client. Does that mean you guys have like a strategy going into the negotiations? Like, this is our goal to pay off this debt in order for it to make sense for you guys?
Yeah, so depending on how much the debt is, would determine the number of years they're in the program for. So obviously, somebody with $20,000, they could finish in about 24 months, 36 months, depending on how much. They could also pay more as well. If they have, more debt, it could take up to 5 years. We do give them up to 5 years, but that is the end goal. It does give them a finish line. So at the end of the 5 years, if they have paid into the program and agreed to all of those settlements, they could potentially be debt free.
Now, when a person goes ahead and sits down with you, they have their credit card, they have credit card debt, they have medical bill debt. Do you usually see like the attorneys are able to negotiate like 50%? You know how they always have those commercials about like IRS debt and then you can pay like 5% of your IRS tax bill? Do you guys have like a formula that you figure out, or what typically is it like, say somebody has a lot of debt, like you're saying 20,000, they might be able to pay it off in 24 months, but let's say they have 120,000, then what's the strategy going into that situation?
So regardless of how much debt they have, the attorneys are able to reduce it by about 50, 53%, even up to 60%. Um, Hold on, pause. I don't know what I was going to say. Where was I going with that? Um, what was it?
53 to 60%, they can reduce
53 to
it.
60%. It will get reduced by 50. Hold on, pause. Okay. Um, no matter how much debt they have, it will get reduced typically by 50%.
Okay,
Depending on how much debt they have, that's how much they would be in the program for.
sure.
But we have great relationships with these creditors. That's how we know that we are able to negotiate with them. My system literally won't allow any creditor in there unless we have a history of negotiating with them.
Oh, that's good to know.
Mm.
Yeah, so I mean, like pretty much all the regular credit card companies that you hear and get in the mail every day. How do you stop the credit card companies from sending you all of that mail? Is there a way?
Yes. So, like I mentioned, it is an attorney backed program. So, as soon as the client signs the contract with us, the attorneys do send out letters of representation to those creditors, letting them know that the client is in a program and that they will be handling the debt moving forward. So they don't get harassed, by collections agencies or the creditors or anybody like that, because they are 100% backed by the attorneys.
I was thinking more about the all the mail that I get for starting new credit cards. Like, how do you stop them from sending? I mean, I don't usually sign up for them unless it's like something that I'm going to get a lot of points for and it's going to help me in my business. So either like airline or, you know, hotel or something like that. But I mean, how do you stop those credit card companies from sending you so much mail? I mean, they have to spend a fortune on that. They obviously make a lot of money.
Yeah, I think that they're always going to send those things. I think that those creditors are always going to send mail because they are always looking for clients.
Yeah.
But,
And then once
like
somebody
you said,
goes through your program, sorry, once somebody goes through the program, how long? I know this isn't probably a question that you want to answer because you hope that they'll never get into debt again. But about how long before they would be able to like open up a new credit card? Because you obviously need to have a credit card even just to rent a car or do anything.
absolutely. We don't want them to open new credit cards to, go shopping and go, get themselves into debt again. However, they do have an option to open up a secured credit card,
Okay.
which will build credit as well during the program. They will have a chance at receiving new offers again, because their debt to income ratio, as we're paying off all of that debt, they don't have that debt sitting on their credit anymore, so creditors will make them offers. But what I tell my clients is, get a secured credit card. That will help you. Don't get yourself into interest again. Don't go in circles again.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, believe this or not, I have a credit card that I've had. It started off as a secured credit card when I was like 22 or something. I was in college. A secured credit card. I still have it to this day. It's been
Wow.
I've never. I mean, now it has like a regular limit and everything. Like at some point they converted it from me having to put like $300 a month or whatever on it so I could, rent a car or whatever. But back then when I was traveling, I was running a volleyball club and I needed to be able to rent cars and I needed to have a credit card. So I had to get one of those so I could, run my volleyball club. Anyway, they have their purpose, right? They have their purpose for, getting credit started again as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've been very thankful of Relief Strategies, helping a lot of our teacher clients or school district clients with student loans and credit cards. And I mean, naturally, because I am a younger agent, I attract a lot of the younger staff. And so it's sad for me to see that a lot of them have these massive amounts of debt that are just looming over their heads, including student loans. I mean, teachers have to get their credentials, so they've got student loans, and then not knowing how to properly manage their money. And I mean, they've seen those student loans just pile up and up. So then it's like, what's a credit card? We'll just keep doing that, and then I meet with them and we'll talk about retirement. And they're like, I don't even want to talk about retirement because I'm paying off my student loans and I'm going to be paying off those forever. I've got these credit cards. They want to be married. They want to get a house. And retirement is 30, 40 years away. They don't even want to waste their time with it. But it's been Relief Strategies has been a very beneficial partner for me, helping them with their student loans and their credit card debts. Being able to, I mean, I recently had someone making like $1,000 a month payments towards her debt, and now she's freed up $500, and that can go towards her securing a financial future in the long term, rather than her dealing with past credits and having negative interest go against her. So, can you talk more about the student loan debt and what's available for people?
Yeah, absolutely. We have great partnerships for federal student loans, especially for teachers and public employees. I've seen them do some really amazing stuff. I've seen them, a lot of teachers get loans forgiven, get loans reduced. And again, it saves them so much on interest, and it gives them, again, a finish line. If you're a public employee, for example, you have a 10-year guarantee that you will be out of that student loan debt.
That's great because a lot of
as
teachers
well
in
as
the
private student loans too. Yeah. So we could help with federal student loans, we could help with private student loans, we could help with credit card bills, personal loans, payday loans, medical bills, any of that stuff.
great. Okay, well, I have one more question about this, and then we'll talk a little bit about how people can get involved or in contact with you. But one of the questions is all debt the same as far in your eyes, or like is there certain debt that you want to educate people on how to get out of that debt and never get back into it? What would you say there?
Yeah. So, if you ask any of my clients, they'll tell you, all debt is the same to them because it's just debt. However, the credit card debt and the personal loans is what kills people the most because all of the interest that comes along with that. We could definitely help with that. That's what the program is for. It literally gets rid of all of the interest. It cuts it all off. It cuts the balances in half, and it gives them a finish line. Stuff like mortgages or auto loans. Obviously, we can't help with that because those are secured
Mhm.
by the asset. Um, unless it was like unless they had a vehicle that maybe was repossessed or they surrendered it for any reason, and then it was sold, or whatever it was, and they still had a balance, we could still help with that. But the biggest debt that I would say we could help with is credit card debt, just because it reduces all of that interest.
Great. All right. Well, let's talk about how someone would, before we go into our lightning round, let's talk about how somebody would get in touch with you. And then also any tips that you can give on just like it's getting ready to be the holiday season. So we had this show where we talked about experiences instead of like, buying things. So maybe some tips you can give. I have one good tip that I want to give after this. But first, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you and what you can do for them in a evaluation or a 30-minute meeting or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. They could get a hold of me by emailing me, izzy@reliefstrategies.com. I also have a booking link where they could book a free consultation with me. And I could help them from there. It's a free consultation. We could come up with a plan together and get them to financial freedom.
Okay, so my tip for holiday, and you tell me because you don't want people going and spending all this money on credit cards. But what I noticed is recently I have quite a bit of reward points from, let's say, Pottery Barn or Nordstrom, or like on Southwest, like they have a lot of partners. Southwest Airlines have a lot of partners. So I was thinking about giving points and giving like these certificates to my family members, or actually going to those places and just using the bucks that I have already saved up. I mean, I think I might be able to get all my Christmas shopping done on my credit card rewards this year.
I'll take
What do you think about that,
I'll
Allie?
take a
Yeah.
Nordstrom's day with Hawley.
Rewards are definitely great. A lot of these credit cards do have the rewards. So, especially if you plan on enrolling them into a program, you might as well use the rewards, right?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Any other tips you have for people during the holidays as far as not how not to get in further in debt during the holidays?
Try not to spend not more than what you make. Spend out of your checking account. Don't put stuff on credit cards because after the holidays, you're going to be left with all of those bills and all of that interest that, like we said, we could pay on it for 2, 3, 4, 5 years and still owe the same balance. I had a client just yesterday with an $800 credit card, just $800. But she said she's been paying on it for the past 2 years. And guess what the balance still is?
$800.
$800 because of all of the interest.
Yeah, and I mean, and the other thing too is like Allie was talking about being younger and working with a lot of millennials and whatnot. Like my oldest son, he's in the Navy, and they attempted to give him a auto loan that was going to be 29.9%, and because he was in the military, I had to like call this company, this car lot company out there. I mean, they are so lucky I did not get my attorney get on a plane and fly out there because what they were doing through these, I mean, he's in the Navy, he represents our country, he's serving our country, and they're going to charge him 29% for an auto loan. That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. And
I'm so glad he could get out of that one.
that's how they get you. They'll send you a letter in the mail, you'll swipe the card, and then
Yep.
you don't know that you just agreed to a higher interest rate.
Exactly.
Nobody reads the
Crazy.
fine print.
All right. Well, we have a lightning round. It's going to be a little more fun and exciting than me going down this. I mean, I just don't like it when companies take advantage of young people. It just really irritates me, especially since I have young people that I have raised, and friends and family that are young people. I don't like it when they get put into credit cards that, and other types of products that have high interest. So, anyway, to the lightning round, fun and exciting. Allie, take it away.
I do want to make a note because Izzy's been so helpful with me and my clients that when you first talk to them and you have your consultation, they're going to go through and just collect all of the information about the debt that you've got. And on that call, they're going to give you your quote for how much you're going to pay and the time period that will take to pay off your debt, and you'll immediately see the benefit of it. And like Izzy shared, I had a client and she was like, well, if you stay on the same trajectory, your student loans are going to, it was some type of loan. I don't remember if it was a student loan or a credit card, but it was like, you'll pay it off in 40 years and you will have paid like double the amount, or you can cut your monthly payments in half right now and it'll be paid off in 5 years. And it's like, okay, duh. So it's so helpful for them, and you can visually see it when you're writing down these numbers as they're talking to you. Like, it's a no-brainer. So I definitely recommend you guys reach out to her if debt is a concern. And with that note, we're going to go to the lightning round. So Izzy, these are going to be very short questions, just as described. It's a lightning round. So here we go. First question: cash or credit?
Credit, just because I like plastic and I will lose the cash in my pocket.
You surprised me on that one.
I know, right? Because I tell people not to, overspend on credit cards, but I don't like to carry cash around.
Fair. All right, real estate or stocks?
Stocks, for sure.
If you won $1 million today, what would be the first thing you do with the money?
I would probably buy a house and then go travel the world.
Nice. What is a fun impulse buy you've had recently?
I've been trying not to do a lot of those.
Izzy's so good at not going into debt. She has no impulse buys. She's got all the discipline in the world.
I'm taking you shopping with me.
I love to shop. I love shopping. I love to go buy clothes, but I'm running out of space.
All right. What's a money saving tip you swear by?
Don't spend more than what you make. If you don't have it in your bank account, don't spend it.
Yep,
Good advice.
for sure. What's your biggest financial fear?
After doing this, I don't think that I have one anymore because I know how to manage my money. And now I just want to pass on that knowledge to everybody.
Great.
That's awesome. I love that. What's your biggest financial goal for the next year?
I would love to buy a house and go travel the world.
Nice.
So you're playing the lottery every week. No, I'm
I
just
have to
kidding.
win that $1 million first, though, right?
So whether you're winning the $1 million or you're just working away, you're going to get that house and that travel.
That's right.
For sure.
Like it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us, Izzy. And we'll put all of her contact information in the show notes so you guys can easily access it. And have a great day.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
having me.